Overwhelmingly, students and faculty as well, in survey work that we have done and survey work that others have done, say that these resources are just as good or better than resources that they've used in the past. You know, when you ask students, imagine a course you're required to take to graduate next semester. There are 2 sections of it available, both at equally desirable times. One of them is going to use OER like you used in this class that you've just finished, and the other section is going to use a traditional approach. Which would you prefer? 13% of students say they'd prefer a traditional approach, while the other 87 say that they either have no preference or have a preference for the OER approach. You know, so in terms of kind of preference work, just asking them to kind of loosely compare, give us your attitudes, thoughts, feelings. How does this compare to other things you've used, all the way up through, which course would you prefer to register for in the future? Students have said that they would prefer OER in the majority of the cases. Another thing that I think is really interesting that gets confusing for folks is that you will hear from time to time about surveys that are done of students and their feelings toward electronic textbooks. Would you rather have electronic textbooks or print textbooks? And those studies tend to come out overwhelmingly in favor of print. If they're only given one choice. If they're given the choice of both, most students would prefer to have a print and a digital copy. And it's interesting when you step back and you say, why is it when you ask the question generically about electronic textbooks versus print textbooks, students say they would prefer print, but when you ask about OER versus your traditional textbooks, when the OER are digital, they're a subset of electronic textbooks. Students prefer OER. Those 2 findings seem like they contradict. Until you stop and you think about all the, I don't know a better word, all the games that publishers play with the electronic textbooks, the way they're locked down so that you can't copy and paste out of them. They delete themselves after 6 months, or your password to the website quits working after 6 months. All the notes that you took, all the highlighting that you did disappears. The typical e-textbook experience is a really frustrating experience. It's engineered primarily to make sure that copies of the electronic textbook don't end up on BitTorrent and everybody has a free copy of it, and secondarily to hopefully support some learning happening. And so it shouldn't surprise anyone that given a choice between that and a print textbook, that people would rather have a print textbook. There's just so much more. You could keep your highlights, keep your notes in the margins. But given the choice between something digital and that provides all the convenience of being able to keep it, being able to share it, being able to cut and paste from it, being able to highlight and note take in it, between that and a print textbook, people will choose OER most of the time. And I think that's a distinction that is not often appreciated.